Hello, loves. It's officially Mercury retrograde season, and a lot of people have mixed feelings about Mercury retrograde season. It did start on December 13th. Wait. Actually, before I get into it, welcome to Astrology and Magic. I was so ready to just dive into it. Welcome to Astrology and Magic. My name is Valkyria Verder, Valkyrie of the Veil. Thank you for being here. I am going to sit and explain today about Mercury retrograde, and I'm recording this today, December 17th. Mercury retrograde did start on December 13th. I intentionally waited into Mercury retrograde to see kind of what we were dealing with before I made this episode, because, you can sit and speculate about like what could happen or what the energy is going to be like, but having that knowledge and then the wisdom of lived experience is very different. And so I wanted to be able to come to this podcast episode about Mercury retrograde with more of a experience filled understanding of what we're dealing with. And it's been intense. I don't know about you, but I know about what's true for me, and it's been real intense over here. So just to kind of break down what's happening with the placements before I get into what Mercury and the other placements are going to be moving through with this Mercury retrograde. Right now, Mercury is in Capricorn, and we also have Pluto in Capricorn. Now, this is a very dense aspect. When you have signs or planetary placements in the same sign, they influence each other because they're influenced by the same sign. So for instance, here we have Capricorn influencing both the planet of destruction and death and transformation, and also riches. Okay, sometimes people forget that Pluto is also riches, things like taxes, so it's like the accumulation of the extra that other people decide that they don't want and don't need. So, a little extra little tidbit. We're going to get into that too. So we have Pluto in Capricorn. We also have Mercury in Capricorn, and we're about to enter Capricorn season here soon. And that transit comes up in our breakdown of this Mercury retrograde. So really what's happening is Capricorn is dense energy. Capricorn is the energy of gravity. It's the energy of the systems of the earth that are pretty much inescapable. If you look at generational systems, for example, like taxes, actually, ironically, that was not an example I was going to bring up, but it fits and it works. Taxes is something that has been around for generations, and for it to have a great accumulative change, more than likely it will take generations to change that. That's an example of a Capricorn system. It's generations to build, generations to change, or it's things like gravity in the sense that it cannot be changed. Gravity is something that we can build machines to work against or fly against or shoot off of the planet. But then even once we get off the planet, we call it zero gravity, which is still technically related to the system of gravity. So the gravitational system, the gravitational pull of things, that's also a magic. Gravity magic. If you're able to accumulate gravity for yourself, that's one of the reasons that Capricorn is associated with wealth, is because if you're able to accumulate gravity, then things start to naturally gravitate towards you. Capricorn is a very, very strong, dense energy in that. The kind of downfall to that is if you have not done the work or are not doing the work to create a gravitational force for what it is that you want, other people's gravity is going to pull you in. And so that could be a bad thing. It could be a good thing, depending upon if it's an opportunity you want. It could be a good thing that you're getting pulled into a space with other people. If not, though, if it's something you get pulled into a gravitational space of people that you don't actually want to be around, or an opportunity you don't actually want, then that could be the downfall of it. So just something to keep in mind. Capricorn season is a really great season for manifestations to come and ground, because it's also earth energy. And so the fact that we have this Mercury, Pluto in Capricorn, Mercury retrograding, Pluto's about to enter the death degree, 29 degrees. It's a critical degree in Capricorn. So words are very destructive right now, but not in a bad way. And that's kind of why I wanted to sit and wait to see what my lived experience was through these first couple of days of this Mercury retrograde before I made this, because having words that are destructive within that system energy, for me, it's been bringing up a lot of like belief systems, or like systems that I have had in my heart, in my mind, where that now the communication, because of the Mercury and Pluto both being in Capricorn, there's been a lot of things that have come up where it's like it's forcing me to look at, well, I mean, you know, it's a choice. You could choose not to look at it. But for me, I know if I don't look at it, it's going to come up again eventually. So you might as well just do it now. That's another energy of Capricorn. Might as well just do it now, because you got to do it at some point. So the inescapableness of Capricorn, yeah, might as well just do it. It's going to affect you one way or the other. So within that Saturn energy and keeping my order for myself, because Saturn rules Capricorn, I just choose to do that. That's how I move. If you move differently, good for you. If you move like that, good for you. You know, I'm not here to judge. That's just like, that's how I move in things. So, I've noticed that it's bringing up a lot of systems, like belief systems, or it's bringing up systems like internally, or systems that I have lived in that no longer apply. Because we also have to remember kind of big picture. We just went through our eclipses. We just started this new eclipse nodal axis a couple months ago. Like, it really hasn't been that long that we're into this Aries and Libra nodal axis with the eclipses. So we are in a new era. We're in a different space, like bigger picture wise. We're in a different space within ourselves. We're in a different book. We're in a different chapter. Where also these eclipses are like a complete 180 flip. I know I've explained this in other episodes. I'll explain it briefly again, but we had the planetary rulers from Taurus and Scorpio, being Venus and Mars, do a complete flip, with Aries now being in the North Node when Venus with Taurus was in the North Node. So Aries and Mars is now in the North Node, and we have Libra and Venus in the South Node. So we went from that Mars in the South Node with Scorpio to now Venus with Libra in the South Node, and now Mars is in the North Node with Aries, and we had Venus with Taurus in the North Node. So we did a complete 180 flip. Like, there's so many things that are drastically changing for so many people. It's the one time in our nodal shifts that happens. And so this Mercury retrograde, like, we have been going through the retrogrades up until now, the Venus retrograde, the eclipse, and this Mercury retrograde. They're really asking us to clear it out, because there's good things coming through. We're living a new life. If you've really been doing the work, and I feel like I keep saying that too, like, if you've been doing the work, good things are coming through for you, especially when 2024 gets here. So this Mercury retrograde is really asking us to sit and think about the systems, because systems can either like pull us into a gravity that isn't good for us, or they can pull us into a gravity that is going to be very, very beneficial for us, that Capricorn energy. Which is, so I love Saturn energy. It takes a lot of work, and it is hard work sometimes. It depends on like what you're working with, and like where that is in your chart, and how Saturn and Capricorn Aquarius sit in your placements, because Saturn is also a ruler of Aquarius. So it really depends on what that looks like for you. But personally, I love this energy. Even on the days where I'm like, God, I really don't want to do this. I don't want to do it. I know that if I sit in it and I do it, then a couple days from then, a couple weeks from then, even a couple years, however long it takes, it's going to pay off. That's the thing about Capricorn, Saturn, Aquarius energy, is like, if you sit and do the work, then you get the reward. But if you don't sit and do the work, you're going to get a hard lesson. So I would rather just sit with it. And again, that's how I'm moving it. We have a lot of destructive words. So let's get back to that. Mercury and Capricorn retrograding. And with Pluto and Capricorn, a lot of destructive words coming through, a lot of words that are asking us to reconsider things, a lot of like system structurally breakdowns with communication. So maybe like different things with the phone have been happening, or like systems within the phone. Maybe there could be changes within, like if you are at work and they're like changing their email system or something like that during this time. It's the destruction of one system to bring in a new system. So there's different things like that happening. And one of the other things too that I wanted to say before we get into the transits of like what is happening kind of day by day through the Mercury retrograde. One of the things that I have learned and this is kind of a side note for all astrology, like while you're listening to these podcasts or just astrological events, generally speaking, when you're dealing with astrology, people talk about like debilitated placements or placements that are harsh or placements, and harsh placements, like that's true. I guess I want to focus more on the placements where it's like the narrative, we're going to change the narrative is really what I want to sit with this. There's the narrative that there's placements that are bad for you, or that they're like not good, or that they are like just terrible, and they're not like, I don't know how else to really like speak on the negative, because I've been focusing on like changing it more into the light of something that is actually helpful. Because one of the things that I've learned is like those placements that people call debilitated, or the placements that people are like uncomfortable with, or the placements that don't naturally necessarily like work together very well. When you find those placements, it's not that it doesn't work, because every placement works in some regard. It's not that it doesn't work. It's that when you have those placements that are debilitated, or they are like a little bit harder to work with, if you understand how that planet works with that sign, then you'll be fine. If you understand how that energy works and you're able to understand, yes, thank you, the spirits of love. If you are able to sit and understand the process for that placement and that sign and that planet and that house for you and how you need to work in it, then it's not debilitated. It's not a debilitated placement if you understand how to wield it. A lot of people call those placements debilitated placements, because if you don't get a grasp on it, it like requires a lot of skill a lot of the times with debilitated placements. It requires that you have more awareness and that you have more skill, more training, that you're like more into the depth of the understanding of what those planets and placements do. And so when you get into that energy and you actually study it for yourself and you're actually aware of it, you're able to become really good at wielding that energy instead of having it knock you over all the time. And so that was another thing that I was thinking about before I got onto this episode, to record this episode, is like, I feel like, because there's a lot of comments that I get on my TikToks, or there's a lot of like messages I get sometimes where people are like, people have told me this is a debilitated placement, or like, I don't really like this placement in my chart, or different things like that, or people who struggle with different placements. But if you really sit with it and understand what the magic is for you and how it influences your magic as a human, then you can wield it, and it's going to actually become like a superpower. Because when you get into those niche little areas where things could be debilitated, and it takes a lot of skill to be able to acquire the abilities to wield that power of a placement in a sign in a house that could traditionally be debilitated, then like nobody's going to be able to stop you. That's one of the pluses of, I think, placements that are a little bit more what people would call debilitated. I don't think they're debilitated. I think it's a niche superpower. So I just wanted to talk about that for a moment before we got into, and the reason I want to talk about it is because this Mercury retrograde with Pluto and Capricorn is really asking us to, again, systems and structures, break down systems and structures of communication that have not been working for us. And I see within the astrological community that is a system of communication that I would like to break down and get rid of, so that we have something new and a little bit easier for all of us. Because that's the thing about Capricorn. If you make an easy system, then the system is easy. Shout out to Capricorn. So with that said, let us get into kind of like a day-by-day breakdown of what's happening with this Mercury retrograde. So it started on December 13th. We have been Mercury in Capricorn for a while, but December 13th is when the retrograde begins. So right now I'm recording this on the 17th. So we have a couple of days until the 20th. December 20th is when Pluto enters 29 degrees of Capricorn. So if you have been aware of what your words are calling into action for destruction and transformation now, good for you. If not, I would start to pay attention to that, because when Pluto enters 29 degrees of Capricorn, the destruction within systems, that Capricorn energy is about to get pretty serious. It's about to get really serious, because 29 degrees is the death degree. It's the degree where you're about to move into another sign. And so you got to wrap up the life. You have to, you just got to wrap it up. Things have got to get done, because it's about to end. It's about to be the finalization. So we have December 20th, Pluto enters 29 degrees of Capricorn. So from the 20th until, when does it? The 24th. So we've got 4 days, and that's over the solstice too. So that I think is going to be really interesting, especially if you're someone who practices solstice magic and you're sitting in the energy of like honoring the spirits and giving offering to the spirits. And like, now is a beautiful time to thank you, the spirits of love, and I love you. Now is a really, really beautiful time to give offerings for the consecration of endings and transformation. If you are still in a situation where things are not working for you, and things are a system. If you're in a situation that has a system around it and you realize, wow, this system is not for me. This system is not for me. This is not what I want in my life. Now is a beautiful time with Mercury retrograde in Capricorn and Pluto about to enter that 29 degrees in Capricorn to give those offerings to the spirits that you love. If that is a part of your practice, give the offerings and talk to them and tell them how grateful you are that things are changing. Tell them how grateful you are that things are changing, that the systems are done that don't serve you in love, that the systems are over that don't serve you in love, because again, that's really what we're being asked to like sit in during this retrograde. And Pluto is going to be at 29 degrees in Capricorn for a couple of months. So we have this very serious destruction energy happening in the beginning of 2024 also. However, when it comes to this Mercury retrograde season, this Pluto at 29 degrees in Capricorn is going to have a heavy influence on our words being destructive and our words being also constructive, because in destruction and construction are the same energy moving different directions through time. And time is also another system that has to do with Capricorn, because it's a system that we cannot escape from. We have to sit in time. You can do like meditations and have different experiences in your life where time can be like illusory and change in its perception of like how fast or slow things are moving. But in the end, we always come back and relate things to time in our human essence and in our human world. So, now, when Pluto enters that 29 degrees of Capricorn from December 20th to December 24th, over those days of the solstice, like the energy of this Mercury retrograde is going to influence any magic that you're doing over that solstice to have a transformative energy within the systems around it. If you know what you're doing as a witch, as a practitioner, if you know what you're doing and you're able to actually like do what you need to do, then come when Pluto enters Aquarius, things are gonna be really good for you. That's an understatement. Things are, if you're specific in the offerings, if you're specific in how it is, because it also Capricorn has to do with the details. One of the sayings or like cliches about Capricorn is that the devil's in the details. And so if you're not paying attention to the details, then things can get a little messy. They can get a little stressy. Not always super fun. Not always. That's another reason people don't always like Saturn and Capricorn, because that detail-focused energy is, sometimes people just want to be like in la la land and floating around, and that's not a bad thing. Not a bad thing, but it's not what Capricorn and Saturn requires of us. So, if you know what you're doing as a practitioner over these solstice energies, with the way that this Mercury retrograde is really like influencing us, there's going to be the ability to completely get rid of systems in your life that don't serve you anymore. So however it is that you sit in that magic for yourself, beautiful. And again, one of the things that the spirits that I commune with continue to bring through is that 2024 is a door. 2024 is a door. We have a door. This year is going to be a door. So know what you're asking for, because this is the year that we're opening and walking through the door into a new, completely different situation for ourselves, a new, completely different life for ourselves. So a lot of this Mercury retrograde is really asking us to get into the details. What about the details need to be deconstructed? What needs to be deconstructed, transformed, especially when it comes to communication of systems, and like maybe you're communicating about things that don't necessarily work for you anymore. That's a good indicator of things that you could give offerings for to be transformed. So yes, December 22nd. So December 20th, Pluto enters 29 degrees of Capricorn. December 22nd, we have the sun in Sagittarius at 29 degrees. Pluto, again, is still going to be in Capricorn at 29 degrees. And we have Mercury at 1 degree in Capricorn. So we have 2 death degrees on December 22nd. That's the reason that I bring it up. Because the next day after that, on December 23rd, we're going to have Mercury and the sun conjunct in Capricorn at 0 degrees. So December 22nd is more than likely going to be a very serious day. Sagittarius energy in the 29th degree is like you are shooting to kill. It is a day of very, very intense will. It's because it's that archer energy. It's shooting thing. It's the like with a purpose. That's Sagittarius energy. So it's, and having that energy of like shoot to will. Well, maybe not shoot to kill. Shoot to will it. Having that in the death degree of having the sun in the death degree of that is going to influence all the other placements too. It's like everything that you do when you have a purpose with it is like you're willing something through. Pluto in that death degree is in Capricorn, is going to have that influence of like amplification, because Pluto is like the farthest from the sun. That's so we have this death degree of the sun in Sagittarius with purpose and like getting things done and like being a sharpshooter in your life. We have that because the season of purpose is like almost over. That's what that means. The sun at 29 degrees in Sagittarius, the season of purpose is almost over. So it's like we're really like making sure that we're wrapping up the purpose energy. That's the sun. And then all the way on the other side of the astrological system that we exist in with our planets, we have Pluto also in a death degree in Capricorn. So that day is going to be very intense when it comes to like that might be a day where you feel a little overwhelmed. There might be a little bit of overwhelming on that day, overwhelming feelings of like, you've got to get some things done. It could be work oriented, and it's technically the holiday season for a lot of people. So like if you really, that is honestly, December 22nd is a day that I would clear your schedule of anything that is not required for you, for what it is that you're sitting in within your purpose, what it is that you're sitting in within your wealth, that Sagittarius and Capricorn energy. So, because there's going to be a lot of serious things that we're like wrapping up and asking ourselves to get done on that day, especially with this Mercury in retrograde on that day, still in Capricorn. We're still going to have the devil in the details. We're still going to be so detail oriented with our words. And so there's going to be things, if you're not paying attention and you are sitting in like a super overwhelmed energy, there's going to be things that go unheard. Also with the sun in Sagittarius at 29 degrees, you may find things moving faster because of that fire energy, and fire when it's about to die likes to suck out the life from the air and like the earth that it's burning to get as much life out of it that it can. So that is, just keep your wits about you if you're able to have that day specifically for doing what it is that you need to do for you, however that works for you. That is a day that there may be a lot that is asked of you by yourself, and possibly by the people that are around you. So if you do find yourself a little overwhelmed, tap into the quietness of earth energy, because Capricorn, yes, has to do with like the layers and the movement of the earth, and it can get very dense. But if you're able to really sit with the stillness and the quiet, that can be helpful. Also, again, we have Saturn in Pisces. So if you're tapping into your spiritual gifts, Saturn does rule over Capricorn. So we have this like spiritual influence happening with all of these placements right now. It's like the in-between, this in-between spiritual kind of like background influence when it comes to all of this very serious stuff that's happening in Capricorn. So leaning into your spirituality and leaning into your spiritual order and leaning into your practice, if there is overwhelming feelings, can also be very helpful. I know for me, as someone who has a practice and like keeps up on things, I'm grateful to hear that, because sometimes we have placements where it's like you have to lean into the physical world and like keep things, and I love that too. We have to ground our spiritual gifts in the physical world. Otherwise, like why have them? Why have them if we can't use them? So, but I also enjoy being able to use that spiritual order and spiritual practice as kind of like a fallback or a lean back kind of energy too. So just keep that in mind as we are walking through this Mercury retrograde breakdown with this Capricorn energy. Is like there's also the spiritual influence on the back end of it. And Neptune is also in Pisces right now. So we do have that kind of like take a breath, sit with the meditation if you need to, sit with the intuition when you need to, sit with your gifts when you need to, and also use your gifts, apply them. If Saturn is ruled by Pisces right now, and Saturn also rules over Capricorn, and we have this influence of spiritual energy, like people who are in tune with their gifts are going to be able to get a lot of things done. You're going to be able to not only get a lot of things done, but this destruction energy, especially for people who call on death magic in their lives, like right now, it's like a short little stint of death energy and death magic till we get to the new year. But at the same time, I feel like let it be a short little stint. I feel like personally, I don't know about you, but personally, there's been a lot of death energy I've been going through with the end of that lunar node axis in Taurus and Scorpio. So I'm ready to let the death go. Come the next eclipse season in March and April of 2024, we are going to have a different outlook on things. There's not going to be as much death energy around us. Right now, we're still walking through the death of Taurus energy and wrapping up that story when it comes to your Taurus placements and the Taurus lunar node axis, because the moon for the eclipses in October, that full moon lunar eclipse, the moon was ruled by Taurus. Granted, the axis was ruled by Aries and the north node for that eclipse, but the moon itself was ruled in Taurus. So we do still have this influence of Taurus energy happening, and the breakdown of that Taurus story. And for me, that Taurus placement is a 12th house, which means I've just been sacrificing. So I'm very, very ready and very excited to be out of that sacrificial energy, especially with Taurus when it comes to like luxuries and comforts. I would like to have my luxuries and comforts back, So wherever that Taurus placement is for you, understand that the death energy of that Taurus will be done come that March and April eclipse season. Right now, we are still being asked to really like tie up the ends. So that influence also has to do with this Mercury retrograde. And because we have Jupiter still retrograde in Taurus, so there is that Taurus influence happening. And Jupiter goes direct the day before Mercury goes direct. So I'm not going to get super in depth with that here, but just kind of like so that you understand the outlier influences, or like the subconscious kind of like indirect influences that are happening with this Mercury retrograde, because I think it's important to understand those two. Like, it's good to understand the direct energy, but there's a lot of things about Magick that are indirect. So let's look at the indirectness also, So yeah, December 23rd, we have Mercury and the Sun conjunct in Capricorn at 0 degrees. And then the day after that, Mercury enters Sagittarius in its retrograde. So we're going to have this really intense day, December 22nd, this really, really intense day which is the day before Mercury and the Sun are conjunct. So when the Sun is in Sagittarius at 29 degrees, Pluto is in Capricorn at 29 degrees, and we have Mercury at 1 degree in Capricorn, December 22nd. That's the serious day. Get it done, get it done, get it done. That day might not be a lot of fun. Then we have December 23rd, where Mercury and the Sun are conjunct in Capricorn at 0 degrees. That day, gonna feel like a breath of fresh air. That day is gonna be like, if there's rest that you need, be in the rest. Allow yourself to rest. December 23rd is going to be a day of like congratulations. If you're doing the work that you need to be doing, again, if you're doing the work, then December 23rd is gonna be a day where like breathe on that day. That day is going to be a day. It's going to have a lot to say. And it's 0 degrees. 0 degrees is the portal degree. So there may be like a conception of different ideas, especially when it comes to that Capricorn energy. We're entering Capricorn season. Mercury, so the Sun is going to be in that portal degree. And then we also have Mercury is going to be in that portal degree of Capricorn. And that is a lot about the like communication. So December 23rd, there's going to be a lot of things that are happening without your word. A lot of things unheard. 0 degrees has a very influential degree in the sense that it's the beginning. We're conceiving. It's a portal. There's conception magic in the fertility aspect of things. And with Jupiter, with the moon, if you listen to the previous episode with the moon cycle that we're in, with the new moon being ruled by Sagittarius, this moon cycle being ruled by Sagittarius, there's a lot of fertility magic happening. And the fact that Jupiter goes direct the day before Mercury goes direct, like we have the opportunity to be very fertile right now with our ideas and be very fertile right now with what it is that we're asking for and bringing through. So December 23rd, also make that a day for you. Sit and meditate, or if you need to watch a movie. Sometimes I do that where I'm like reading a book or watching a movie or just listening to music, and it's like, oh, there's the idea. I understand now, but I wouldn't have been able to do that had I not been like out experiencing life, simply speaking. But that helps me in that aspect and regard. So pay attention to the ideas, especially when it comes to Capricorn energy, when it comes to the systems, when it comes to wealth. Pay attention to the ideas and the different conceptions that you are receiving on December 23rd, because that is, again, a portal day. It is a day of portals. It's a day of conceiving. It's a very, very powerful day. You may also see things leaving on that day because Mercury is moving backwards into Sagittarius. I believe sometime that night, it depends on the time zone that you're in. I believe sometime that night, early in the morning, December 24th. So when Mercury goes back into Sagittarius, we're going to be kind of like rethinking our purpose. Why are we saying what we're saying? Like we're having this destruction energy when it comes to systems, and it comes to like the systematics, and it comes to the wealth aspect, and it comes to the earth aspect, and like things are direct and they're more destructive. Our words are more destructive. But then Mercury enters Sagittarius again, and we have this kind of like reconsideration. Okay, well, if these things have come to destruction, and like we've had these experiences where the conversations we've had have destroyed some systems or destroyed some beliefs for us, or they're destroyed some ideas, like through that destruction energy, when Mercury enters Sagittarius again, there's going to be a reconsideration of purpose. Like, oh, maybe these things I was working towards aren't true anymore. Maybe the things I was talking about aren't true anymore. So what is true now? What is my purpose again? Let's revisit that. Let's go back and revisit what is my purpose in communicating with these people, and what is my purpose with communicating around the things that I'm communicating about? What is my purpose with communicating generally speaking? Like, are you speaking when you need to? Are you communicating with a purpose when you are speaking? Because Mercury in Sagittarius really asks us to communicate with a purpose. And if you're not communicating with a purpose, then why communicate at all? It's kind of like the, like if you have nothing nice to say, then why say it at all kind of thing, except for with a purpose. That's very Mercury in Sagittarius. So that's December 24th. So really pay attention to like your feelings around purpose, and like, especially if you've been aware of the different things that have come to destruction when Mercury has been in this Capricorn energy, and you've been like destroying different things, and then there's going to be a reconsideration of purpose. And I think that's going to be a really interesting and introspective time. There may be things that we realize, because again, it is Mercury, so there may be things that we realize in conversation with other people. That is also going to be a time where there may be the receivings of like, if you've ever had this happen where you're just talking to someone and they say the exact right words that you needed to hear so that you're able to like have clarity for yourself, and they don't even realize that they're doing it. When Mercury moves back into Sagittarius, there's also going to be moments like that are happening where we're able to be like, oh, wow, yeah, I haven't thought about it like that. Actually, I feel like I needed to hear that because now I understand why I am in this situation or in a circumstance or with this communication or with this person or with this organization, with your work, however it is. So pay attention to kind of like the communication that you're receiving then too. Also paying attention to, because there's two sides. There's the positive, and then sometimes there's a negative. So let's talk about that also. When Mercury re-enters Sagittarius, there could also be people who are speaking with a purpose to you that you don't really need to be talking to. If people are, because the thing about Sagittarius energy with the arrow is like it's a season that you're making claims on things. What are you doing and why are you doing it? You're making claims on things. It's also a season of trickster energy. So is Capricorn. Capricorn is trickster energy, different trickster energy, but the winter time, generally speaking, there's some trickster energies up in there. Again, not a bad thing. That's just what it is. So if there are things around you that are communicating with you and you realize that you don't like the purpose that they're communicating with, or you don't like if you don't resonate with and feel comfortable with why people are communicating with you, then maybe don't communicate with them anymore. That's also going to be something that happens when Mercury enters Sagittarius, is we're going to have this kind of clarity of why people are talking to us. Why are we having the communication that we're having in our relationships? Why are we communicating with the people that we're communicating with? And why are they communicating with us? So there's going to be some things that come to light around the purpose of the people in your life, possibly, when it comes to the Mercury and Sagittarius. And again, that enters on December 24th. So that we've got 4 days of that until we have another placement come through, another transit like important happening, and that's December 28th. So Mars and Mercury become conjunct in Sagittarius at 24 degrees on December 28th, and then we have oh goodness, I feel like this is going to be really, really intense, because we have something happening December 28th, December 29th, December 30th, and January 1st. So it's going to be like boom, 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 boom. And it's going to be kind of fast paced, especially with Mars and Mercury. Pay attention. I've said this in one of my previous episodes too. If you don't need to talk about it, don't talk about it, walk about it. If you don't need to talk about it, don't talk about it, walk about it. December 28th, when Mars and Mercury become conjunct in Sagittarius, this is a day where people are going to be probably fighting with their words. Mars is action oriented. This is going to be a day of don't talk about it, walk about it. If you find yourself talking about it and you understand that you could be doing something about it, get up off your butt and go do it, because it's going to be so helpful. Like and I haven't explained it yet, but I'm about to. It's going to be so helpful because December 28th, we have that happening. Action oriented. Get up and do it. You understand you've had a couple of days to understand your purpose and communication. You've deconstructed some things. You're understanding yourself, probably feeling pretty good. Okay. December 28th, when Mars and Mercury become conjunct in Sagittarius, it's go time, because then December 29th, we have Venus enters 29 degrees in Scorpio. So we're wrapping up that cycle. December 30th, Venus enters Sagittarius. So now we're receiving with a purpose. If you're action oriented, on December 28th, when Mars and Mercury become conjunct in Sagittarius, if you have that action, the fire under your butt, the fire in your gut, if you're doing the things that you need to do, then December 30th, when Venus enters Sagittarius, there's going to be a lot of the things that you have grown, of the seeds you have sown in the previous moon cycle, during this Mercury retrograde, and in the Jupiter retrograde too. So we have all of these different like back end things that are happening. And then come December 30th, when Venus enters Sagittarius, we are going to have we're going to start to receive the Jupiter energy, because Jupiter rules over Sagittarius. We're going to start to receive that Jupiter energy, the expansion energy, the fertility energy of this moon cycle that we are currently in. We're going to start to receive that. And then December 31st, we have Jupiter goes direct. So we have Venus entering Sagittarius, Jupiter goes direct, and then January 1st, Mercury goes direct. So it, like I said, it's like boom, boom, boom. December 28th is the final. I feel like December 28th is going to be the final day of like, I gotta, like, it's going to be the final day of like, the ick energy when it comes to Mercury retrograde. I feel like that's going to be the final. If you've really been sitting with it and understanding things, there could still be some hangups or different things that obviously, like, we're still going to be under that influence until January 1st. So do keep that in mind. But I feel like it's going to be the final ick day of Mercury retrograde is December 28th, or like just like more harsh aspects. So I'm really excited for that, to be honest with you, because the end of this year, I know that I feel like I've been talking about this like pretty in depth in my other episodes too. The end of this year is going to be, the end of this year is a gift. It is a gift. So lift. When you are gifted with things, lift them. The end of this year is a gift. It is a gift. Thank you, the spirits of love. It's a gift. So lift, because we have this action-oriented energy, December 28th. But then we have like, I don't think you understand. Maybe you do, and I hope you do. Like, this is such a big thing that's coming through. Venus, we're going to talk a moment about Venus, because Venus was retrograde before Jupiter was retrograde. Venus retrograde, messy, stressy. Oh, ick, gross. Venus retrograde, not fun at all. It was not a good time for a lot of people. We're reconsidering worth during Venus retrogrades. We're reconsidering why we're receiving what we're receiving. What are we receiving? When, how, from who, all those different things. And so a lot of us were asked to like have more worth for ourselves. And then September 4th, I believe it is, Venus goes direct out of its retrograde and Jupiter goes retrograde. So we have not had Venus and Jupiter direct at the same time since before Venus retrograde. And at this moment, I don't know what day that was, to be honest with you. It's been a while. It's been, what would that be? Like almost half a year, probably. That's a long time, y'all. That's a long time. So when it comes to this Jupiter going direct, and we have Venus entering Sagittarius, and we're going to have Mercury in Sagittarius, like, so fertile. There's so much abundance that's going to be around us, especially if you have been doing the work through these retrogrades to clear out the old aspects of you that are through, that are done, that no longer need to grow, that are no longer fun. If you have been calling the death of those aspects of you and calling the death of those forms of your life, then there's going to be no more thorns come 2024. And it's going to be so good. Like I said, 2024 is a door. Like this, the beginning of this year, the end of 2023, the beginning of 2024, it makes me want to cry. It makes me, that is how excited I am for this. It makes me want to cry. It makes me want to sit and give thanks and give reverence and give gratitude. So you know what? Actually, let's do that. I do. I give my gratitude and my love and my reverence to the highest spirit and the great mother spirit and the great father spirit and the spirits of love and the mothers of love and the fathers of love and the ancestral spirits of love, and the indigenous spirits of love of this land, where it is I sit, talk, walk, and stand, and where it is you sit, talk, walk, and stand and receive these messages. I give my gratitude, reverence, and love to the spirits of the land. Ooh, and thank you, the spirits who do love me and do love you. True. beautiful, 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 beautiful. And thank you for allowing us to receive what it is that we have been working for and asking for and praying for and giving offering for. I am so very, very grateful that we are closing the door of 2023, how we're closing it out, and that we are opening the door for a completely new life in 2024. The whole year of 2024 is going to be a door. So go and explore in 2024. The seriousness is almost over. We're almost through this Mercury retrograde. It really is like the final push. We do have Pluto in Capricorn at 29 degrees again for another like couple of months come 2024, but I don't think that that's going to be a bad aspect because we're still transforming systems of wealth. Hello, still transforming systems of wealth means that you're able to receive more if you are doing the work to transform. So beautiful. Yeah, I'm very excited. Let the death be done. Next year's going to be fun. I really have a feeling it's going to be fun. It's going to be a grand, great, good year. So thank you for being here. Thank you for listening to me. I'm so grateful for your presence here. There's been so many new people who have come through. So thank you. If you are new to my page, if you're new to my content, thank you for being here. I give my gratitude and my love and my reverence to you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I do have offerings on my website if you would like to go and check them out. I have my poetry book. I have personal sessions available. My website is VORDR.ART. That's me. If you go check that out. There's also, if you would like to be one of the listeners who funds this podcast and funds my work, there is an option to give a one-time donation at the bottom of my page. Or if you want to subscribe monthly for $5, there's an option to do that as well. So beautiful. Wow. Thank you for being here. And for those of you who don't contribute financially, the fact that you're sitting here and listening, that is enough for me. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So, wow. Oh, I will let you go. You know what? Go do what you need to do. Congratulations on making it through all of these very serious placements. And that's that. I send my love through to you, and I will talk to you the next time that I do. And I love you. True.